To film my clips, I use something that's called an action camera. But don't be fooled by the word action, because although it's a cool little device, I certainly ain't getting any. You see, Mrs. W finds my little devices, or gadgets, a kind of a turn-off. Which is somewhat ironic really, because her little gadgets I find kind of exciting. Although, to be honest, some of them aren't even that little. I'm Ian, a whinging old git who likes to tutter loud and roll his eyes a lot. Married to a very understanding lady who is going for a bit of a change. Now, when I say a bit of a change, that doesn't imply that Mrs. W starts howling at the moon once a month. Although there does seem to be a little more hair of late, and her toenails are starting to resemble claws. Although comments like that are likely to end up with me with my throat ripped out. Did you know that as you get older, your ears and your nose keep on growing? Well, this is fine for me on one part because I've got really small ears. And if I'm lucky enough to hit 90, they hopefully would have caught up with the rest of my head. The nose, on the other hand, is a bit of a different story. And in the next 10 or 20 years, I'm probably going to end up looking like that. And this is why every single man that makes it to 100 years old ends up looking like Dobby the house elf. Children hit puberty at all different ages. The girls maturing long before the boys, which is a known fact. And I was a late bloomer when I was at school. Some of the boys in my class have full-grown beards and deep baritone voices, while I was a skinny little bald kid. Not on the head, obviously, you know what I mean. And I couldn't wait to start growing hair, have pubes, hairy armpits, and even a hairy chest like Tom Selleck out of Magnum. But that didn't happen until I was in my 30s. And then 10 years later, I can't get rid of the stuff quick enough. Shaving, manscaping, waxing, hair growing out from all sorts of places where hair shouldn't be. Along the back of the arms, shoulders. It's terrible. If it wasn't for this short cropped beard that I have now, I would look like a 10-year-old boy. I mean, a chubby, slightly wrinkly, grey haired, slightly thinning, unattractive 10-year-old boy. Comparing hair with grass, I started off with a few fresh shoots and they blossomed into nice manicured lawns. But then by the time I got to 40, I was left with an overgrown wildflower meadow with long strands of reeds growing about all the fringes, those stubborn things that you can't seem to get rid of. You don't actually lose hair from your body as you get older. It just packs up and moves. I mean, I used to have really hairy legs, but as soon as I hit my late 40s, I would say, from my knees down, it's starting to go bald, especially around my ankles kind of area. They've not gone, they're just the roots have decided to shift, go for a little wander and sprout again around my shoulders and back. So they don't go anywhere, they just decide to move on. Have you not noticed that most middle-aged bald men have got really hairy backs? And if they haven't got really hairy backs, well, I can tell you, that's not a budgie you're smuggling in those Speedos. That's an ostrich nest. And the ostrich has long ago left home. And the same thing is true for women, of course. So if your partner says that her hair is starting to thin, then the lady that does her bikini waxes is in for a big job.
Oh, we're gonna need more wax! I clear all my appointments in the afternoon.
Anyway, I really will have to end it here because the moon is starting to poke through the clouds and Mrs. W is scratching at the door. Now, where did I put that silver bullet?